the participant number increasing pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Nice.
Great. Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Carrie Willigan. I'm the Assistant Dean of Career Services for the School of Business, and we are delighted to see so many students signing in for our event. This afternoon, we're here for ProfessionalQuest, our Certified Financial Planning and Wealth Management panel. And we have some amazing speakers. They're here to talk to you and tell you about the field. So please, be prepared to ask some good questions. All the questions will go into the chat, and we will send them to Professor Horstmeyer, who's our moderator. I'm going to turn it over at the beginning because we're very, very grateful to the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority. They are the event sponsor this year, and this has been a really wonderful partnership. So I'm going to turn it over right now to Alex Salacker. He's going to talk a little bit about Fairfax County Economic Development Authority, and then we'll get started with the panel. So Alex, thank you so much, and thank you to all our speakers.
Thank you, Carrie. Really appreciate it. As a fellow George Mason alum, always great to come back to my university and talk to students. Just a little bit about the Fairfax County EDA. So think of us as kind of the economic driver of the Fairfax County government. We're just about 50 employees located in Tysons, Virginia, spanning across a wide variety of concentrations. But really what we're set up to do is twofold, really to help identify opportunities for our existing businesses here to continue to grow and thrive. And then the second portion of that would be offering services to try and help attract or help relocate new businesses to this marketplace. But one kind of point of topic I'll just really highlight for today's discussion is we've recently developed a workforce development initiative that I encourage each and every one of you to take a look at. It's called workinnorthernvirginia.com. It's a free resource for both prospective employees and our employers in the region to post open positions that they have. And we actually have an upcoming May 20th virtual career fair that's going to be focused on young professionals and entry-level grads for positions related to fields and technology. So a lot of synergy going on with today, and happy to drop more information about that in the chat box. That's just a little bit about the EDA. And with that, I'll turn it over to Professor Horstmeyer for introductions for today's panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex. And thank you to all the students out there that are joining today. We have a nice panel set up for you today, a number of financial planners and CFPs that are here to discuss, what this career is all about, how to best prepare for this career, what should you be studying for, what kind of internship should you be looking for. But before we jump into that, I just wanted to give you guys a brief intro, and I'll paste this all into chat. I am the director of our Financial Planning Wealth Management new degree here at George Mason University. It is a combination of finance and accounting, and it is CFP board certified. I will paste the curriculum here in chat, and we also have an advisory board of 15 members which support the degree financially through scholarships, through mentoring, through a host of other things. So we actually have a few members here that are on the board. So before we jump into the questions, I'm going to introduce David Johnson, Sarah Avila, Coleman Fox, and Danny Lee. And each of them will just talk about their firm for 3 to 5 minutes, and then we'll jump right into the questions. So David, would you like to jump off with this?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm with Signature Estate and Investment Advisors. We're an independent firm. We're actually a national firm, but my office is actually located over in Tysons Corner. So we're what's known as a registered investment advisor, as opposed to a wirehouse like a Morgan Stanley or a Merrill Lynch. And I specialize in working with corporate executives, business owners, multi-generational families, and trustees, helping them just manage their personal financial wealth. And so everything it's part of the CFP curriculum, are all disciplines that we use day in and day out. And I'm also a George Mason graduate, so happy to be back helping out. And it certainly, everything I learned at Mason set me up for a good foundation. And I like to tell people I graduated from Mason on a Thursday and started working at the firm the following Monday, and been here ever since. So I've spent 25, almost 26 years with the firm.
Awesome. Great. Coleman, would you like to take it from there?
Yeah, sure. So Coleman Fox, I'm representing FJY Financial. We are also an RIA, Registered Investment Advisor in Reston, Virginia. And, we provide comprehensive fee-only financial planning. we have a young staff. We take a team approach. All of our associate advisors work with all of our lead advisors. So I think I like that about working here. That's different than where a lot of my internships, how they were structured. But yeah, I graduated from Virginia Tech in December of 2019, and I started working for FJY early January of 2020. So I've been here about a year.
Great. And Sarah?
So my name's Sarah. I'm a certified financial planner. So I work for a privately owned firm in Tyson's Corner called VLP Financial Advisors. We have about 16 employees, 8 of us are advisors. We work with individuals and or sometimes couples, and we provide detailed financial plans and investment strategies, and we help clients meet their sort of short-term and their long-term goals. And we also work with corporate clients. So if they have a 401k, we can manage the 401k and provide employee education by going on site and helping their employees, sitting down with them and helping them plan for retirement as well. I'm also a GMU grad. I went to Mason for my master's degree, got my bachelor's at Penn State. But I was actually a career changer. I was a math teacher in Fairfax County, and I also worked for the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics. So the first 10 years of my career, I worked in math education. And then at that point, I realized that I kind of wanted to pivot over into the finance world. And so I then got a job with Lincoln Financial, where I started working as a retirement planner for teachers. So it was a nice transition there. And then I worked that job for about 3 years until I came to my current firm. I've been here over 5 years now, where we do, sort of more holistic planning and financial advising. And a couple of years ago, I started developing a niche in financial planning and got my CDFA, which is a certified divorce financial analyst, so that I can work more specifically with people that are going through a divorce and helping them navigate through the finances of divorce.
Great. Oh, that's a really interesting niche. I didn't know you did that.
Yep.
Do we have Danny on yet? Oh, there he is.
Yes.
Danny. Good. I'll pass it over to you.
Thanks. My name is Danny Lee. I am a partner with Blueprint Financial Group. We're a financial planning firm that focuses work with the closely held business market space. I joined the team back in 2018 as a partner, where the founding partner I have always stayed close and friendly with because he was my mentor and I used to work for him. And then ultimately I launched my own practice for about a decade's worth of time. And then when it seemed right for us to merge together, this is when we became an ensemble practice. So we focus on working multi-generationally with our clients and family members, and ultimately looking at everything from a holistic certified financial planner way of approach with our clients.
Thank you. Thank you all for that intro. Maybe at the end we will paste in all of the companies that you guys work with, just so all the people here can see the actual the financial planning groups that you work with. So let me jump into the first question. We have a number of questions here, which are kind of generic in structure, but really kind of help our students and potential students in this program to kind of, weigh, is this a career path for them? So what do students typically select this career field? What drew you to this career field? Or sorry, why do students typically select this career field, and what drew you to this career field? And whoever wants to start first can take it from there.
I'll go ahead and jump in. So I think, when I was first attracted to the career is, just coming out of George Mason, you're probably a broke college student. I think I was down to my last $75. And so I had to think of a way to make money. So certainly I was attracted to, the economic benefits of the career. But I think what's really, money can only motivate you so far. So you have to have other, attributes that are really going to allow you to say, this is what I want to spend the rest of my life doing. And I think number one, it was the opportunity for continuous learning. Every day is different. Investments change. We do a lot of investment planning. Tax code changes, estate planning changes. So it's never a dull day. Something's always different. And also just the types of clients that we work with. It's nice working. I can never predict from one day to the next, what my day is going to look like. And it's a lot of fun. You meet some amazing people. And I'm a big about setting goals. So I actually get a lot of fun, sense of accomplishment from helping people to identify their financial goals, and then always, kind of ushering all their available financial resources. So that way we're always working towards those objectives.
I can jump in here too and just say that for me, it was just that passion for personal finance. I have a lot of extended family members that didn't necessarily do the right things as they were, in young adulthood and even later in adulthood. And it didn't really set them up for success in retirement. It's hard to kind of watch that. And, I was a lot more savvy with finances at a younger age. And for me, it was always about wanting to help people just learn different ways. And even if they do something a little bit differently, they can have a much better result later on in life. And so, for me, I'm a lifelong educator. And so I just wanted to be able to help as many people as possible. And I would say that for anyone pursuing a field like this, where you're doing financial planning for folks, you have to want to help people. If you're doing it just for the money, you're probably not going to like what you do for very long, and it's not going to work out. Not to mention clients can kind of sniff that out a mile away. So you have to really want to help people and really, really enjoy the job.
I know that everybody here kind of came into the industry in different ways. I was lucky enough to get into the industry right out of college, but instead of becoming a client-facing advisor, I wasn't confident enough to go there. But I knew that the reason why I wanted to get into it originally was just the idea of managing people's investments and portfolios. But over the course of my career, and I think this is where a lot of folks end up when they become client-facing, is that what does drive me nowadays is what everybody else is stating here as well. Our clients, making sure that they get to their goals and objectives and helping them navigate what is incredibly complex and probably an extreme source of stress. So they really need us out there. And when I see the impact that we make from person to person, that's where that drives us. I think the money aspect of it, because that was what I thought when I first got into this industry, it's a byproduct of the good work that we do.
Sorry, I was muted there. But yeah, agreed. You guys hit it all on the head there. But for me, it was, like Sarah mentioned, it was an interest in personal finance, and then the combination of that with just wanting to help people. So the client service part of it is huge. On every day, any given day, you're going to have to, talk to clients, respond to emails, provide them with whatever it is they're looking for that week. And the combination of those two things sort of are what make, my job pretty cool. And I look forward to waking up each day and like David said, not really know what's going to happen and what emails I'm going to get, in the morning. But so that's why I sort of like what I do.
Very good. Very good. So as a director of this program, I get a lot of students coming up to me, a lot of finance students, and they ask me the question of, should I go for my CFA? Should I go for my CFP? And generally, I try and break it down for them. And, this is a very rough breakdown, but I say, if you really enjoy doing Excel work and you really enjoy kind of the quant side of things and you like sitting behind a computer all day, then maybe the CFA is right for you. If you like finance, but you're also a people person at heart, you enjoy sitting with people and walking them through things and discussing, financial plans, and you enjoy talking to people, then maybe consider the CFP. So along those lines, what do you think are the skills that you really need to work on in your undergraduate that prepares you to be a financial planner or to sit for the CFP?
I'll just say, I say one of the skills that you have to have, and not necessarily, it's always, something you got to develop, is just being organized. People hire us to help them take, like Danny said, an incredibly complex set of financial data and make it very simple and help them to simplify their lives. In fact, I think the best financial plan is one that really kind of simplifies people's goals and allows them to kind of laser focus on what they're trying to accomplish. So if you're organized, that's going to translate over to your clients. Certainly good written and oral communication skills, because we take incredibly complex topics, But the reason why people come to us is not to hear industry jargon. We have to relate it to what they're trying to accomplish in our lives. So we have to be able to communicate that effectively. I think in the past it was more verbal, but just like was said before, now we spend a lot of time just doing emails. You have to be able to have excellent written communication skills as well and make things very simple for people. So, good communication skills, being organized, I'd say, were the two big things that's helpful.
And Derek, what you were mentioning a second ago, as far as the way you described, those who are like this should pursue the CFA, and those who are like this should pursue the CFP. Our approach is that the investment management side of the house is something that every financial plan ultimately needs to address. So I kind of view the certified financial planner or that aspect of it, the kind of the generalist, but it always starts with the plan and ultimately gravitates towards an investment strategy to solve for these particular goals that you have. And I could have gone one way or another during my career, but because I am a bit of an egghead too in certain situations, but ultimately what drew me more was that CFP side, because I had considered going down the CFA route because that's very targeted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very good point about the generalist versus specialist role. Yes, yeah.
And I know people that are both CFAs and CFPs, just because they want to have both designations and they're interested in both, and that's fine too. But to piggyback off of what David said, he mentioned being organized and having good communication skills, and those are certainly important. And I would say equally as important is good listening skills, especially if you are client facing, if you're working with clients. Clients come to you with a problem, and it's really important to ask a lot of questions, and exercise those active listening skills. Don't just assume after the first few sentences of what they've told you about their problem that that you know everything that there is to know about what they're going through or what their real questions and problem is. You want to be able to ask very detailed questions to make sure you fully understand, what it is they're asking for, and understand the full scope of their situation before you can even think about recommending any solutions for them.
Yeah, two quick things. The active listening piece is huge because, like David said, you're really just trying to simplify their financial life. And the better you listen to them and understand their story, the better you can put it into their terms. And also, you get to know them better. What level of detail do they want to, have or know about their financial plan? We have client portals and certain things, and some clients don't want them at all. And then some clients want to know absolutely everything. They want every report that you've put together. And then hitting on the email piece, I remember in my job interview, I had to reply to a fake client email. So that's something that all these firms are looking for. And you just, if that's something you're struggling with, just practice. It's all it is. And that's huge part of the job.
Yeah, very true. I really try and harp on my students, please write professional emails. And, it's an amazing, I don't know. It takes some practice to craft a professional email, but if you're a student out there listening, writing professional emails and just being professional is, it really gives you a leg up in the interview process and obviously with clients. So yeah, really good point on that. Let's see what else we could, this may apply to some people here. How important were internships, and which, if so, which should you take? Which should you go with? Kind of study abroad opportunities, other things outside of your curriculum, your main studies in undergraduate. Did you take advantage of that really kind of help you prepare for this line of work?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I never actually did an internship, and I wish I had. So I can certainly answer the question from an employer standpoint. One as an employer, we take a tremendous risk when we actually hire somebody. So one of the best ways to mitigate that risk is to get to know them on a trial basis. And an internship is a great way for a student or a candidate to really show off what skills they bring to the table, and it reduces the risk. There's less risk from us as an employer in terms of hiring them. I think one of the things you gain is, as a student, doing multiple internships with different firms, is that every firm has its own culture. And so much of your success is not going to be based on the knowledge that you have, because there's a lot of smart people out there who are going to have, very similar knowledge. It's how you fit into the firm from a culture standpoint. Do you like the people you work with? Do they respect the skill set that you're bringing to the table? And doing multiple internships with different firms maybe allows you to find that one firm that you can start off with, because once you start off a firm, you don't want to be jumping firm to firm to firm trying to find that right fit. So I would say that's one of the great benefits of internship, is to basically just on a trial basis, try out a firm, and also to try out the career, see if it's a good fit for you. Maybe you think you want to be a CFP, and then you start to get into a firm, you're like, wow, I really love the analytical side, and maybe the CFA is the right route to go, without being committed to a specific job.
Mhm.
David, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say the same thing about company culture, and especially when it comes to financial firms, a lot of them are smaller. So the company culture is an even bigger deal, because you're adding to the company culture as much as you're enjoying the company culture that's there. So when you're working with the same people day in and day out, you better like them. Otherwise, it makes your job a little tougher. So yeah, and we have interns here. We usually have one intern in one in the summer, one in the fall, and one in the spring. So you can certainly, you don't have to wait until the summer to do an internship. You can do one in the fall and spring, even if that means just working one day a week. Certainly there's a lot of financial firms out there that'd be willing to hire you, and because they, like David said, they want to try you on the same way you want to try them on, and especially if they're looking to hire in the future. So it's a little bit less risk for the employer if they can get to know you first through an internship.
Very good points. Very good points. I'm kind of going back to the, first I was going to say to the students that are listening here, a lot of the RIAs, registered investment advisors here in the DC area, are like Sarah mentioned, kind of on the smaller side. That's just kind of how the structure of most of these are. So most likely you're going to go work for a group that may have between 5 and 15 individuals. And so culture really does matter, as Sarah and David just mentioned. So it's not like you can go work for a huge bank and just kind of disappear into some little nook and just do your work, right? You really are going to be interacting with the whole firm a lot of the time. So going back to the curriculum side, I know we had a lot of people do different paths here. You didn't exactly go right for a CFP right out of school, but was there a particular class that you concentrated on that really made being a financial planner easier? Or is there one class you would recommend to somebody here that really helped in your current line of work?
I can answer that and say insurance classes. Insurance is actually a much bigger part of this job than I ever thought it was going to be, because it's not just life insurance, although that's certainly big, but there's long-term care insurance. Annuities are a type of insurance, or even like Medicare, which is health insurance. People have a lot of questions about these things. And it's really important to kind of know your way around the insurance field, because likely you're going to have to sell some type of insurance product. Even if it's not a big part of your business or what you focus on, clients are going to need some type of insurance product, and you're going to need to help them navigate through it.
Mm-hmm. I would also say if there's specific courses that speak to retirement, the decisions that all retirees need to make, the election of Medicare, what are the strategies associated with taking Social Security, so on and so forth. Those, if you can speak to those, your credibility with them goes straight through the roof, because this is something that, even though we don't necessarily get compensated on unless we're charging for a fee-based plan, it is something that everybody needs to know and just do. So if you can provide that information, be the outlet for it, they will trust you and rely upon you as that the singular source for financial guidance.
That's great. For the students that are listening right now, we have an intro to financial planning class, which Jason Howell teaches, which is in finance and cross-listed accounting, which does touch on retirement issues. And as Sarah mentioned, we have an insurance class that is launching this coming fall in the accounting department. It's called Taxes and Insurance. It's half taxes, half insurance. If you cannot find it, please email me. And finally, we have an estate planning class that's also launching in the fall, also in the accounting department, which will be taught by Wayne Zell, who's a prominent estate planning expert in the Nova DC area. So if you can't find any of those classes, please just email me. Great. Let's see. Since we have so many students here who obviously are either finance, accounting majors, et cetera, or financial planning, wealth management majors, what was the best step to either finding an internship in the space or finding a full-time job? Any tips for them kind of along that route?
When I was in college, I was fortunate enough to be a part of the Virginia Tech Financial Planning Program, and a lot of the RIAs in the areas and up and down the East Coast were reaching out to us. So every week, we were kind of spoiled. Our professors would send out 5 or 6 firms that were either looking for hires full-time or internships. But if you don't have something like that, just look for RIAs in your area that you might be interested in and email them, call them. Trust me, they're checking their emails and they're picking up the phone. So like, don't be afraid to just, do your own, legwork on it if you don't have those, career, listings, at your school.
I can't really speak to internships because like I said, I was a career changer. So I got my very first job as a retirement consultant for Lincoln Financial through kind of I guess more of an unconventional way, but maybe it's not actually. So it was more through networking. I was at my current job and we had a retirement consultant come once a quarter to talk to us about our 401k. And I remember just being frank with her and saying, I love what you do. How did you get into this? And she could kind of tell that, I was, asking her specifically for me, and, and she and I got along great. And she's like, would you like me to pass your resume? And I was like, sure. So that was how I got that job. And then this job was a friend of a friend knew someone that knew one of the partners. So it was a sort of weird networking thing that I got. So I never really had to go on any of those, websites to submit my resume, but networking can be a really powerful force. And it's just important to tell people, talk to people, tell them what you're doing, tell them the type of job you're looking for. You never know who knows somebody that knows somebody, and word kind of gets around.
I think it was beneficial for me. I lumped into this via, I used to play competitive tennis, and the guy I played competitive tennis against, he was a older gentleman, but worked in the RIA space. And I remember a lot of our post-tennis conversations surrounded finances and the type of work that he does. And he was very instrumental in guiding me towards this particular industry. So I think finding the right mentor, a trusted mentor, is very beneficial as well.
Mm-hmm. Very great points. Very great points on the mentoring. Both Danny and Sarah, thank you for that. Just to put another plug here, Carrie Willigan, who is running this talk right here, also runs our Mason Mentors. So please look that up. Mason Mentors. She just did a big exclamation point there in chat. If you are looking for mentors, we're putting together a mentoring-based group for underrepresented individuals in financial planning. So that'll be up soon, but there's all sorts of types of mentoring aspects there. And as Danny said, just networking in general, and Sarah said this as well, just absolutely is crucial to finding a job. You kind of got to get out of your comfort zone. I know if you're a shy individual, you do have to kind of, just get used to this and talk to people and see what they need. And sports is always a great place to network. I've gotten one, I play squash, and I've gotten one job offer just by playing squash with people. So you never know where it's gonna happen. Great stuff. Oh, and another plug. Sorry, I keep throwing out the plugs here, but you got to. We here at Mason have a Financial Planning Association student chapter. So if you just Google, or I'll paste it in chat, FPA Mason, we hold every 3 weeks, we have a financial advisor from the area come in and sit down and chat with you all about financial planning. Again, usually about 10 to 15 people show up, and this is a great place to meet financial planners that are hiring in the area. So I'll paste that in chat if you're a student and you're looking for that kind of opportunity. Great stuff. We've touched on this a little bit. Some people started off at the very beginning talking about what is rewarding about this career in the intro. But I'll go back to that question. What is very fulfilling about this career, obviously aside from the money?
I'd jump in there because I was reminded the other night when I was just chatting with a friend, which is the freedom and flexibility that it brings. Not as much maybe in the day one when you first start in a career, but most of the people on this call are partners in their own firm. And when you're a partner, you're a business owner. And that brings challenges, but also brings a tremendous amount of flexibility. You don't have to worry about how many vacation days you get, or asking your boss for a raise. You determine your own fate. And if you're an entrepreneur, that can really I'd say kind of scratch that itch, so to speak. So I love being an entrepreneur. I love setting up business goals. Some of my business goals stretch out 10 years. And so every year being able to basically benchmark and see how I'm progressing towards those goals. I love doing that, just like I advise clients to do those types of things. So I just love the goal setting.
For me, it's just the feedback from clients, knowing that you've really helped someone, and, a lot of times people are happy to express that, that you've really helped them. And then, it's kind of seeing their financial plan come full circle. So, you may start out and they're, say, 5 years from retirement, and, we need to do all of these things in order to, allow them to transition into retirement and be able to afford retirement. And then they get there and, and they can kind of look back and say, well, it's because we put these things in place. And so that's really helpful. And I think that's one of those things that when you've been in here a longer period of time, you get to see things, the sort of fruits of your labor over a longer period of time, which is even more rewarding. But I used to compare it to when I was a teacher. When I'd give students homework, they would never thank me for their homework or show their appreciation. But here, we often give our clients homework, and they're more than thankful that we're, giving them this opportunity to do these different things and being able to help them. So you get a lot more appreciation and thanks from clients.
I like to think about the impact that my little self can make within my organization, because we all have a role that we play, and within that role, the big winding machine that delivers financial security planning to our clients and individuals. Because I certainly believe that in the capitalistic society of the United States, there is no peace without financial peace. So being able to bring that financial peace to people has even further stretching impact out there. They're the folks who feel financially secure, statistically proven that they will make more contributions towards their charities. If they're not worried about finances, they're more productive at work. They're better husbands, better wives, better mothers, better everything, with all the roles that they play within their lives. So recognizing that the value that we bring to the table, and that we can get them to a place that they actually feel financially secure, and that's kind of an intangible feeling, that's what I find most rewarding about this.
Yeah, there are some clients that they don't even know what they don't know, and they come into the relationship completely blind or just unsure of their financial situation altogether. And seeing a light bulb go off in their head, or just a sigh or a look of relief after a meeting, those little things, every week you'll have a couple of them, and it's really cool to finish your day thinking that you made someone else feel a little better and a little happier and a little more secure about their life.
Great stuff. Since this is such a dynamic industry, especially on the insurance side and on the tax side, things are changing every day with legislation and so if you were in the student's position and you best wanted to prepare them for for an interview or for a starting position, you know, obviously they can't sit down and learn everything about the tax code, but what is kind of the first steps you think, you know, for that entry level job that they should really have, you know, be doing on a day-to-day basis to kind of building up their knowledge about these things?
I would say staying up to date with what's going on. Like as David mentioned a little bit earlier, it happens so quick, so often. Our industry is incredibly dynamic that there's always opportunities to understand what's going on out there, or at least communicate that you are aware of it. Let's say the Secure Act that was passed in late December 2019, which effectively eliminates stretch IRAs, bringing that conversation to bear is incredibly important. And anything with regards to the PPP loan over the course of the coronavirus, being able to just have an awareness around that and speak to it, I think would elevate you very quickly among other candidates because you are up to date on what's going on.
I would say, you know, as far as impressing someone that's interviewing you, you want to show your passion for the industry. You know, and I wouldn't worry so much about knowing everything there is to know about financial planning. No one's going to give you a test, and no one expects you to know everything on day one. But show them that you're passionate about it. Have you, you know, have you studied for the CFP exam? Have you taken the CFP? Have you studied for your Series 7 or your Series 66? You know, what outside organizations are you involved in? What internships did you do? Those would be the kind of things that your potential employer would be looking for. And also, are you personable? You know, they want to make sure that you know how to talk to people, and you know they're going to assess that on the interview.
Very good points. Yeah. Okay.
I remember.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, I remember a lot in college. I would read a lot of the Kitsis articles and watch his, you know, Kitsis and Carl episodes on YouTube. That was just a really easy way for me to sort of stay up to date on what was going on. So if you haven't checked him out, you should.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for the students that are listening, Kitsis, Kitces.
Yes.
Yeah, huge financial planner. Actually right here in the area. But yeah, puts out huge amounts of material. So if you just look at his website, always putting out up-to-date materials on what's changing in financial planning. And I'll pitch this as well. I always tell my students, please, you know, read the Wall Street Journal or something like that, or at least check in on the Wall Street Journal once a week. You know, the articles there. We have a free subscription here at Mason. You just go to the finance website and you can sign up for Barron's and the Wall Street Journal, so it's free. But always good thing to know. You know, obviously it touches on everything that's going on in the financial industry. So great. I had a question. I'll go to this one. Was there a particular subject within financial planning that really caught your attention, whether it's, you know, handling the tax side or the insurance side, or is there any particular area that you really, I know Sarah mentioned she carved out a niche, but any particular niche that you would like to say you really found interesting within financial planning?
I know for me, it was actually retirement planning, just the ability to set up goals that were so far out in the future, and then, you know, checking in and progressing towards those goals. I you know, like Sarah said earlier, I think so many other panelists commented on, it's just rewarding helping clients reach those goals in their life and give them, you know, whether it's financial freedom or helping their kids go to college. I really like that. So I'd say just for me, it was retirement planning, and that was kind of became my market niche. Obviously it brings a lot of disciplines to the table, not just the investment side. There's some tax side because you're dealing with 401k plans and other types of qualified retirement plans, which anymore, so many people, you know, days of people working for IBM for 30 years and leaving with a pension, those days are gone. So how much people have when they retire is going to be a function of, you know, how much they save and also how well they invest the money throughout their career. And obviously that's where we come into play. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why our industry is probably one of the fastest growing industries out there. And just for anybody, who's looking to come into this industry, I'm a little bit of a tangent here, but there's 300,000 financial advisors in the country, but in the next 10 years, 40% of those financial advisors are retiring. But yet you have it at the same time, whereas 12,000 baby boomers are retiring every day. So you have this exploding demand, fewer financial advisors out there. So if you're looking to go into an industry where it's just continuing to grow, this is definitely it. So retirement planning was some subset of that, but there's many different areas that you can explore. And sometimes you can come in as a generalist, which is certainly what I did, and then start to narrow your market niche later on. I know I have a business planner, or one of my business partners, he works with U.S. government, he works with government contractors in the area and sets up very specific retirement plans for them. That is his market niche, and he loves that space. Personally, that's not my thing. I work in other areas, but that's the beauty of what we do, is there's so many different areas that you can specialize in. So.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing. So, and a niche is not even just about a specific subject. It can be about, a type of clientele. So it can be, some doctors, or, someone in a different career, teachers, or you could have, people within a certain age range that you specialize in, like millennials, or people over, age 70 or 72, or you could have widows as a niche, or business owners. But I would recommend sort of going in as a generalist first, and sort of exploring all different areas and figuring out which sort of areas you're attracted to, and then kind of build a niche from there. And you can be creative with the niche. It doesn't have to fall into a certain predetermined category. It's wherever you kind of find yourself leaning, and then just go in that direction and explore it fully, and then even market yourself for that niche.
Yeah, I really like what Sarah said there, because you don't know until you get your hands in some of these arenas, and what you think you like may end up being something that you don't like. So being open-minded, I think, is incredibly important. With that said, I found myself over the course of my career gravitating towards the personal financial planning side, but now much more so with closely held business owners, specifically just around this area. We're kind of in the government contract mecca, and these folks are incredibly underserved because the business planning that's needed for them is a lot more sophisticated than the average. You need teams in order to actually execute upon every aspect of that. And I kind of sit where I help the business owner ultimately figure out to say, if they needed to monetize their business for a specific dollar amount net after taxes to fund their financial goal, how do you find out what that number is, and then get backwards plan through the business of how do we enhance the value to ultimately set themselves up for exit strategies in the future.
Yeah. Very good. Very good points all around. And just to echo what David said at the very beginning there, this is a need and a demand here for the job side, definitely in the DC area, as huge amounts of financial planners retire. And we're obviously seeing the biggest generational wealth transfer that we've seen in, well, I think ever, as baby boomers pass on their wealth to the younger generation. You're seeing huge amounts of money obviously move in retirement planning and obviously estate planning and these other things. So great kind of growth industry to be involved in, especially in the DC area that's becoming a very, very wealthy area over time. Great. As for the CFP exam, I know it's been a while since maybe a few of you have taken it. Was there any specific study tips or areas that you underestimated that you really think the students should pay attention to when they take the CFP in the next year or 2 or 3 years? Yeah.
I'm not sure if for anybody else here, but if my advice is relevant. Y'all know what Scantron is? Because that's what I took my CFP on. That's how long ago I took it.
Yeah, it's been a while, and it's hard to remember the content, but I remember for me, it was just the length of the exam, being that it's almost a full day. You kind of lose steam in the second half. And I remember giving this advice to my colleague was don't eat a big lunch because they give you a lunch break. And if you eat a big lunch, then you're falling asleep in the second half. So that's my one little tidbit of advice.
I would say find a good study partner. Misery loves company, especially on a beautiful spring day. I remember actually went out to, even though I had graduated, I went back out to George Mason, sat in the library with one of my classmates, and we both just studied through it together. Even though it was a beautiful spring day outside, we were in there just grinding through it. Like, let's get through this the first time so we don't have to go back a second time. So.
Yeah, coming right out of college, my goal was to take it as soon as possible, and that was my plan until the first week on the job when I talked to my coworkers. They wanted me to wait a little while, and that's what other associates that I'd worked with did as well. We just had an associate pass it who didn't start studying till a year and a half after she joined, and we just had someone pass it this March who's been with us for 3 years. So they encouraged me to wait a little while, and my goal was to take it in November. But I have a lot of friends that have recently taken it, and yeah, you got to get a study partner, and it's really just about setting a good schedule for yourself, studying, about 2 hours after work every day, and then maybe 4 hours on the weekend. That's what I was told that has worked for several people. But yeah, I'm about to start that process, and it's really going to be time management. That's what it's going to be.
Yep. Yeah, really quick, put in the time. And what I remember from the professor in the crash course, he said RTFQ, read the full question. He actually used the F as something else, but you get the idea. But I can't tell you how many times that will save you on the exam.
Very good, very good. I think in a second, we'll go to questions. We'll devote like the last 10 minutes or so to questions from the group, but I'll ask one more final one. I try and stress to the students, image matters, media matters, in this day and age. It's just not handing in a paper resume to somebody, or having a large paper book of resumes that they flip through anymore. So any bits of advice on, I don't know, LinkedIn profiles, resume tips, other media sorts of avenues that you would recommend to the students to either polish or filter in some way?
One thing I'd say is that, LinkedIn is certainly out there, and that's going to help you get your job. But when you're a financial advisor, every day you're interviewing as a job. You're interviewing to be somebody's financial advisor, and in some respects, their life coach. And so you want to be that person that they aspire to be and be seen as a person with integrity, and that they can rely on. So definitely you have to have a good, if you have a social media presence, make sure it's the professional image that you want out there. I'm sure you hear that all the time. But I actually don't do a lot of things. I don't do Twitter. I don't Facebook. I don't do any of that type of stuff because I want to have a crafted image. Just like, this is what I do. So I have LinkedIn, and that's it. Because I see with too many social media platforms, the risk can actually outweigh the rewards. So just be careful what you post out there, and just know that you're always going to be interviewing for a job, just not your first job. All your clients are going to Google you from day one.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'd say the same thing, especially in regards to Facebook and Instagram and some of those more popular social media platforms, and not just when you're getting hired, because your employer will search those platforms. So you want to make sure you don't have anything inappropriate on there. But it was a good point that David brought up. Your clients are going to do the same, and unfortunately, as a young, somebody in their early 20s, presumably, you kind of have the cards stacked against you in a sense, because clients come to you and they're depending on you for advice, and there's a lot of people that don't necessarily want to jump into working with a 22-year-old. They have some hesitations about that, so that's a huge hurdle that you have to overcome is the age factor. You don't want to add additional barriers or hurdles with having inappropriate content on your social media platform.
Very good, very good. Here's kind of a topical one. Has COVID changed anything in the past year of what you're kind of seeking for in a colleague, that you're hiring, or in how you're doing your business that you would like to communicate to the people here?
Well, I think that, obviously as time marches forward, we will have the ability to start returning to the office, but every firm's looking at things differently. So it would be better for one to brace that they will be working virtually to start with. And that one thing that we find is incredibly important is for those to be able to take initiative and be self-starters in a world where you're not surrounded by fellow colleagues. So there isn't that kind of culture of accountability that comes with seeing a team member every single day. So those are things that you should pay attention to, especially if the initial start will not be physically within an office with your team members.
Yeah, I'll add that I started my career in January of 2020, and then 2 months later, I was quickly had to learn how to work from home. And the biggest change for me was, starting out on the job, you got a lot of questions all the time. So it was easier to communicate and ask questions when I was in the office. So when you are working from home, you're going to have, scheduled maybe Zoom meetings with your coworkers, and you need to get really good at writing down all the questions you have, because you might not be able to reach them every second of the day. So when you do have that 30-minute block with them, make sure you're asking all the questions that you had, and it'll make your day a lot easier and a lot smoother.
Good. What advice would you give students looking for internships right now or full-time jobs during this pandemic? What kind of tips you think might work for them right now?
I wouldn't say it's that much different than prior to COVID. Obviously, you need to have the ability to work from home, at least right now, especially for the firms that are still working from home. So you want to be able to have some sort of designated office space or a designated area in order to be able to do that. It'd be hard right now if you're going for your full-time job versus an internship, because one of the things we touched on before was that company culture. You can't really get to know that company culture if you're interviewing over Zoom. So if it's an internship, it doesn't really matter so much because it's short-lived, but I think it is a little harder for people that are looking for a full-time job to have their interviews strictly over Zoom. Unfortunately, there's not much you can do about that, but just something to kind of be mindful of when you're interviewing. But otherwise, I wouldn't say that anything is drastically different.
All right. For those who are listening on the job front, obviously, we're trying to make the financial planning wealth management degree the most job-focused degree in the program, and to kind of facilitate that. And I know Coleman came out of Virginia Tech, which is a phenomenal financial planning wealth management program where they're constantly sending, graduates to all areas of the country, and providing them with all these job listings and job offers. We're trying to obviously mimic that and actually have a full database here of all RIAs and broker dealers in the DC area where we could then link students to. So just if you're thinking of being a financial planner, wealth management student on this call, that is one feature of the program that we're really trying to build out, just to let you know. One last question, since we have about 5 minutes left. I guess we'll just throw it out there. What was one thing about this profession or lifestyle or something that you were most surprised at, or something that you just really want to communicate to the people listening, that a benefit or a difficulty that you came across when working in this field, as our kind of last little bit here?
Yeah, I would say a difficulty is, just for me coming right out of college, being 22 years old. Sarah kind of touched on this, so asking somebody to, turn over their life savings for a 22-year-old to kind of cut their teeth on was a challenge. One thing that did help me in that respect is to become, even though I talked about being a journalist earlier, having some very target market like specialties that I just dove into and would know more about anybody else out there on the topic. And so when I would meet with the client, and if that was their specific concern, regardless if they were, 40 years older than me, I could, give them advice and tips that they hadn't even thought about. And I think that actually helped to gain credibility. So being 22 years old, coming out of school is not, I would say, a disadvantage. And in fact, I think how firms are structured differently than when I first started. When you came in, it was like you just had to go out there and find your own clients. And my firm, I'm sure many of the other panelists, their firms, that's not how it is anymore. You come in, you start off maybe as an associate advisor, working on proposals, answering basic questions for a lead advisor. And then over time, your skills will develop because you're seeing different types of, very similar client patterns day in and day out. And you can slowly, gradually start to take on more responsibility with those clients. So age was a little bit of a challenge. I don't think that that's the way it is now when you're coming in to the industry. And, you can just kind of continue to evolve as your skills evolve.
I would say one of the biggest things that I learned was the difference between being a business owner and a practitioner, and understanding what really is the difference between the two. I took the opposite route of David, where I did interview to become an advisor right out of the gates, but decided to go the planning route, what seems to be the norm today. And when I came out as an advisor to become a lead advisor and start garnering my own clients, I was a CFP, a CHFC right out the door. But that was the biggest shock to my system that says, wait a minute, why aren't they calling me to do financial planning? I have the designations, right? So understand that those are two different things, that you could be the best practitioner in the world, but if you really want to build your own business, the other portion of this is cutting your teeth and asking the tough question of, who else can I help?
I'd say one thing, and this, I guess it's kind of a small thing, but it kind of took me by surprise a little bit whenever I first started in this career, was the amount of paperwork that is involved with this profession. And for the first couple of years that I did it, I didn't have an assistant to help with that. I just kind of had to figure it out myself. But it's so much paperwork that it's notable. You spend sometimes hours a day doing paperwork things. So, it just teaches you to be really detail oriented, because you don't want to send it in and get a NIGO. You have to go back to the client and get another signature. And it just takes up a little bit more of your day than I think I thought initially that it would. And I don't want to say that to deter anybody from the field at all, because certainly the benefits outweigh these minor drawbacks, but just something to kind of think about. That was one thing that just kind of took me by surprise.
Yeah, I was not expecting the amount of paperwork that I would need to be doing the first year on the job. And then our ops associate went on maternity leave, so I became the full-time paperwork guy. So like Sarah mentioned, I actually learned a lot, just reading all the paperwork, filling out the paperwork, learning about the different types of accounts there are out there that you can open up in different ways, and why. And then I would ask why we're opening up certain accounts and not another certain account. And it's just a good way to learn, but it did take me by surprise.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, good way to learn. Make lemons or lemonade out of lemons. I guess that's the expression. Yeah, very good. Well, I wanted to thank Sarah, David, Coleman, and Danny for this great talk. And I guess I'll hand it back to Carrie just to kind of give us the outro.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody. This was a wonderful panel. I put in the chat the information about Mason Mentors. We really encourage you to get involved with that as well. And if you have any questions, just reach out to us. It's at mycareer@gmu.edu, and we're happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you so much to all our panelists, to Professor Horstmeyer, and to FCEDA for sponsoring.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.